Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the NFTV Women's Podcast. Before we get into it today, make sure to give us a 5-star review on the podcast and give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. We're going to kick off today with clue number 1 for our Who Am I series. So I'm going to hand you all over to Lee.
Thank you very much, Juliette. So, obviously, we do this every time we do a podcast. I'll give you 3 clues, and we shall reveal it towards the end. Who am I thinking of? So here's your first clue, everybody. Not even anyone in this room knows what the answers and clues are. Clue 1. Some will say I had big shoes to fill in when I got the role.
Ooh.
I'll repeat that again for you. Clue 1. Some will say I had big shoes to fill in when I got the role. I'll get you clue 2 later on in the podcast.
Sounds good. So moving on to some news and some updates that we've had about the WSL. And it's saying that clubs are going to discuss possible changes for the league format. Looking in about 4 years' time, the WSL could be going from 12 teams up to 16. So it's quite a big jump, but I think definitely an exciting one. So one team will come up as normal from the championship for the next 4 years, but no teams will end up relegated from the WSL, meaning that will amp up the amount of teams that we have in the WSL with no relegation. There's a lot of talk around this, some negative, some positive. I personally think it's a great way to build up the women's game. You know, it's so difficult at the minute. Obviously, we had Bristol last season come into the WSL, really struggled to, I think they had 1 win and then came back down. Same with Crystal Palace this season. So I personally think it's going to be really positive for those championship teams, especially in the next 4 years. I think Newcastle are going to be in that group coming up. So it'd be nice for them to actually get in there and not have the fear of being relegated. But guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. What you think?
I'll jump in then I'll let Joe say. When I looked at it, my first initial worries were, I'm worried about it when I seen the headline. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you can't go like America do, not have promotion and relegation, because that kills off any hope of the teams, especially the way women's football has massively developed in the last few years. But if you stop that promotion, you look at teams coming up from Tier 3 to Tier 2, their hope then is they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, they can get in the WSL. So if you stop saying Nottingham Forest, who are probably going to get promoted, for them to get in the WSL would be quite incredible. My worry was that if you stop that element of promotion relegation, it kind of just, I don't know, the season will fizzle out. I don't know.
I do feel like it's sort of like, it's like, what are we working so hard for if we know, like, you know, it's hard because teams, it's tricky, but I think it's going to be good, but let us know your thoughts.
I'm with Juliette here, right? Because my initial thoughts as well, Lee, was like, why are they doing this? Is this not going to be detrimental to the other teams? What's going to happen to Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5 as it trickles down? What's going to happen? When you look into it more, the whole ambition that Nikki Dissett has had has all been about making this profitable and making this sustainable. Sustainability being a massive focus now. You close off them top 2 leagues and Dave will be sitting watching this going, Joe, but I told you this. Dave, shh. You look at the way they want to do it. They want clubs to invest. They want more people to invest in the Women's Super League and create things like a pot. So a lot of talk that's been towards Nikki Dissett is how some teams like Reading, how have they had to dissolve and drop down the leagues when they should be supported in this Super League, in the top league? Well, if you create a position where 16 clubs all then put money into a big pot which promotes the league, helps facilitate better opportunities, better tournaments, better prize pots for the whole thing. Think of the pyramid structure in the Premier League and in men's English football. I think that's what Nikki Dissett's wanting to aim to make. Now, if you do that currently and keep the leagues open, it leaves a massive gap, which has already been seen, where teams coming up from Tier 3 who will jump up from Tier 3, we are definitely an anomaly. You jump up from Tier 3, you go into Tier 2, and if somehow you make it to the top end and you go into the first tier, there's a big chance that you are then going to drop straight back down, or worse, be turned into a club that's not sustainable and not profitable. You close off these top 2 leagues for a temporary amount of time, say 3 years, 4 years. You make sure every team has invested a certain amount back into the league, and it creates a pot where if a team is struggling that much, they can appeal to the league. And Nikki Dissett's already spoke about this in interviews before. She wants to be able to have this pot where people can come to the league and go, we need help. I think that's the focus, to solidify it. So you've got 16 teams in the WSL and 12 to 14 teams in the championship that are all extremely sustainable and able to help each other. Then open the leagues back up. Them teams are secure. I think that's the focus, and if that is the way they're going to do it, happy days. However, I will totally turn my head on that if they say it's permanent, and I will be like, no, let's get the pitchforks and burn it down to the ground. Deal?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one, Joe. It's like what you see now in the Super League, and different more teams in there. It's all about like so super teams, and obviously we're fortunate like where like we turn professional, and you've got like the clubs lower down that's got like part time. So if they want to provide more like structure, they need to become more professional. But if they can't, they'll be likely to like help them as well. Like the part time teams going, oh, if you need help, just go. We'll help. We'll give you some funding so you can do like more training grounds, more equipment to adapt them to achieve what Newcastle are doing at the minute. Or more likely, more teams to come through the ranks, like Reading, like they come back with more help. I think that's the best way we can do, because if more teams can get more supported, it's just going to grow and grow and grow. And you never know, like a couple of maybe like 5-10 years down the line, you could start like a load more women teams are coming in, so you're going to have more structures. So it's going to be more like the Premier League and then Championship and all that down there. And I think that will happen more if we'll help all the teams that like really can't afford to go big time.
I think it helps players' contracts. They'll get longer deals. Instead of having a 1-year deal and they're released. I know we are going to touch upon later, and Juliette's going to bring it up later. But instead of the player trying to find a club, they might get a 3-4 year contract now because they know that that league shut temporarily from...
It gives a bit of security, doesn't it, to the
Sponsors
clubs and to the players.
So if sponsor will say, I don't know, Crystal Palace, who will probably go back down, say they get a long-term sponsor because they're guaranteed to stay in the WSL, because they're probably up and down the yo-yo, and then they'll say, but you know what, this company, who's a local London company, whatever, are going to sponsor you for 4 years, guarantee that income comes in, it stabilises the league. My only worry is the money's got to filter down the league as well underneath it, because we've seen it with the Premier League and the men's, it filters down to the Football League. I think that's where it's also got to take shape.
Absolutely, and I think hopefully it's going to give, obviously Chelsea, they've just signed Naomi Gurma, Lucy Bronze, Kira Walsh, like they are bringing some incredible signings in. But unfortunately, clubs like Crystal Palace don't have that same budget. But hopefully with that, 4 years, okay, I know I'm in the WSL for the next 4 years. Like you said, with the sponsors coming in, they might be able to then invest in bigger and better players that are then going to help the teams just become better over those 4 years as well, instead of being like, well, they've got Kira Walsh and Naomi Gurma, and we unfortunately, they just don't have the budget for those big international players. So hopefully it will be positive. But I guess you guys can let us know in the comments your thoughts on that. So moving on, we have, well, she's still a current mag, but she's on loan at the minute. But we have Georgia Gibson has just done her first stint for the United Arab Emirates UAE international football team, which is really exciting. I think a few people were a bit confused what she was doing over there. Obviously, she's not from Dubai, but she grew up spending a lot of time there. My cousin actually did the same, and she works for Newcastle United now, so who knows, maybe they met each other whilst they were living over there. But yeah, she has had an incredible first stint away with them, scoring 3 goals in 2 games and a brace on her debut against Bangladesh, which I think is pretty sick. I think we mentioned it in the last podcast with Freya Gregory, obviously not being Scottish but wanting to get that international football. Same thing with Georgia Gibson. It's like, if you are given that opportunity to go and play international football, because it's so difficult to break into the Lionesses squad, even the under-23 squad, I think is, you're lucky to get in there. So if you're given that chance to play international football, I don't see why anyone would be giving up that opportunity, especially when she said, it's a country that she really holds dear to her heart. She spent a lot of time growing up there, so I think that is incredible. And if anyone else has anything to jump in and say.
I do. I think it did, because what I was speaking to you on our WhatsApp group, thinking, is she doing like a teaching badges or something? And I was like, next thing you know, that's just playing against Bangladesh, she's banged in 2, and having a look at
They were good goals as well. I saw them on Instagram.
And you look at the actually, I don't know if you've checked out the ethnics of the UAE. There seems to be, obviously, because you think of the Middle East, there's a couple of other blonde girls up there as well, so she's not the only one. She'll settle in pretty easy, but it's close to her heart. So, and she grew up there for a good decade or so, whatever it was. But it does tell me, and I know you're going to have your say on this, that tells me that Georgia Gibson's not giving up on football, because I think she might be released in the summer. But if she's playing international football, that might be in the back of her mind thinking, wait a minute, I've got an international career. It might not be at Newcastle club level. Could be Tier 3, could be Tier 4, but that tells me that her PE career is at a side now. in their football career as much of a focus.
Bang on, fully agree with that. And another one, Georgia, well done. Go on, lass. Get your football, get your goals in. Absolutely love it. I'm buzzing for her. But I do think that was one of the first things I looked at and went, hold on a minute. If she's on the UAE team, that's probably a team she's going to get into quite regularly, especially with performances like that on your debut. Yeah, you're not fully focusing full-time on PE, because what if you get called up during the middle of term? You can't teach a class of high school kids and be in Dubai at the same time, so, and I think that's a great choice for her, to be honest with you. I think Georgia's character in football, take away her skill and everything, I think her character in football is something that we need more of in not even just women's football, in the whole of even sports. Let's exclude football for a second. We need someone like her character to just keep giving, and she's one of those who really, really, really wants to give back to the youth, and she wants to help people come up. So I think it's a great career for her, and I would love to see eventually Georgia being someone who maybe even coaches. I would like that.
I know a lot of kids I teach dance to used to go to the school that Georgia taught PE at and taught football. They're like, I've got Miss Gibson from Newcastle United Women's team, and they all absolutely, never heard a bad word about her. Like, the kids all so inspired. So yeah, she's definitely, I think that's a really great career path in the future. But because she's got international football now, hopefully that's full focus on a football career, which is great.
It's also a good thing for the UAE, because Georgia can pass on her experience and character around the team as well, so they can build them going forward as well. So that's what Georgia's always been
just
well
on that
at.
as well, because obviously their laws are probably a lot more stricter naturally with women, unfortunately, the way the world is at the minute. But UAE is a lot more relaxed, so it's interesting to mention that, because she might have that experience to, there could be a couple of other girls who are just amateurs, but she's obviously been a professional a couple of years. It's a good point, that too.
Yeah, so she'd basically just so she can do a PE, teaching them as well, this is. So to get together going forward, they've got a great player in Georgia, and it's
get a nice tan when she's there.
Exactly, good tan.
Yeah, would you rather play in England or in Dubai? I don't want to choose.
Definitely Dubai.
England, definitely England. Too hot for me, Dubai. Too hot.
I can imagine playing a sweaty football match in 40-degree heat. That would not be the one, but. Hey, you're getting a suntan at the same time. So anyway, I'm going to pass you guys back over to Lee for clue number 2. So let's see if anyone can guess.
Yes, I want your guesses as a player.
I know, I'm thinking
already.
already.
Come back later to yours.
Got 3.
Joe's got 3. So I'll just recap clue 1 before I go to clue 2. Clue 1, some will say I've had big shoes to fill in when I got the role. Clue 2, I attended Sunderland Uni like many others do in my profession. So clue 2, I attended Sunderland Uni like many others do in my profession.
I'm not going to say a name, but I've got someone in my mind here. But when you've just said that could include a lot of people. That's a difficult one, that clue 2.
This is probably one of the most hardest ones.
I've got about 4 or 5 now, so I kind of don't know which one now. So
we'll come back to it. Back to you, Juliette.
Okay, so taking a bit of a turn, it's not the nicest news we're moving on to next, and it's about former player Charan Pizello. She released a statement. I'll bring it up and just give you guys a little bit of a run through, saying how at the start of the 2024-2025 season, she signed a professional contract with a club in Spain's first division, which is huge, but due for unforeseen circumstances, her visa application to play in Spain was denied, which is obviously really upsetting. As a result, in October 2024, the club had no choice but to release Charlie-Anne, leaving her without a team to play for. The summer transfer window, unfortunately, had closed, so she was unable to get to a new club. Following this, the agency assured her that they would be working to secure a new deal, but basically the agency have ended up not being able to do anything, so she's ended up, taking a step away, and now has had to go back to playing amateur football in Gibraltar just to keep herself available for the Gibraltar international football team. So it's heartbreaking, isn't it, really, seeing that, from a former player who obviously she didn't stick around in Newcastle for too long. I think she went to Lewes and then went to Leeds and had a bit of playing time there, and it seemed like she was sort of, building a little bit of momentum, but it just seems like there's been a few setbacks. Obviously, we don't know everything. We don't know the agency side of the story and things like that, but it is, really upsetting for a former player to have, gone through that.
as well, something that didn't get as much publicity as what our recent statement had. She had a major issue with that Gibraltar team, and the Gibraltar government basically refused to back the women's team. Now, Charan Pizello has probably been hit with just about every single bad thing that is in the women's game, and I can rant about this for days and days and days on end. This is one of the big reasons why I go on about how, and I think I've got enough credit in the women's game to say this, if you just want to bring it down to the brass tacks of it, and you want to say, oh, it's got to be profitable, the women's game is on the books much more profitable than what the men's game can be. You've got one person paying for one ticket, or you've got a family of 4. Pizzarello is one of these who's been hit with every single bad situation. An agent who is obviously exploited. They have done the wrong terms of business with one of the players. They have left her in the ditch and allowed her to fend for herself, when she's probably been playing a premium as well to them. Not good. Our government is failed to back the women's team in itself, not seeing it as viable. It goes on, and she's had injury woes and everything. I just hope that in the future, she can, hopefully in the next year or so, she can find a place where she can play and she can make a wage as well. Because Pizzarello, I remember her being a really good player. I really enjoyed watching her play for Newcastle when she did. And I hope this turns out the best way. And I'm going to stop myself there because I will actually run for hours.
Hopefully, because she's, put out this statement and, open up and become vulnerable. You never know who's going to see that. An agency might see it and go, oh my God, I used to watch her play for Newcastle and Leeds, and, I'm going to take this opportunity and snatch her up and show her how a good agent should treat a player and, work, whether it's to get her that Spanish visa so she can play over there, or get her, back to an English club, or, there's so many different leagues, over the world. Hopefully we can get her playing again somewhere and actually earning money from a sport, because she's a professional at the end of the day. So having to go back to amateur, obviously that shows her dedication to the sport and how much she loves it. But it's got to be a knock when you've gone from being paid for something to then going, oh, right, now you're doing it for free. And it's like, oh, brilliant.
It's a mental block, isn't it? If you think about, there's a human there as well, element of it as well, where that Joe's touched upon, there's so many setbacks, and she's not the only one. There'll be thousands who are probably unlucky not even get an agency. They have to do it themselves. But when she was at Newcastle, she was even struggling to settle in even there. She was in and out of the team. She didn't. I don't believe she drove either. She had to get bus and all that and public transport, and she was only there for 6 months, so you can't really build connections, relationships really. So I feel for her, but it's the women's game has come on leaps and bounds. But on that side of it, there's some of the stuff that we probably don't hear that often with the agencies and stuff, because we hear about the men, but the men they can pay 80,000 deposit to an agency. Yeah. These girls probably only get, I don't know what they get, $1,000, $2,000 a week. Not even that. Even then, I'm talking WSL. But good luck to her.
Absolutely.
Still not nice though. Like you see that there, you won't you would expect all the countries would go, all right, they've got the men and the women's, they'll back it no matter what. But to come out our own the own government saying oh well, it's not viable. That's
well, it's that's positive to come from it. If she does find a club, she's obviously Gibraltar being literally on the doorstep of Spain, and then she can move back to England. She's comfortable in either one. She's quite happy. Doesn't have to be top tier either. She's happy to drop down the league. So fingers crossed for her.
Maybe they could put in a new rule. Obviously you get them in league. I think it's League 1, League 2. Emergency loans or emergency buys. Because even if the transfer is closed, you can still buy free agents though, can't you? Even
You've
though
got to register them, you can't play them though.
You can't play them though, but still you can sign someone and they can still do surely you can do training, they can train with the clubs and all that. If that, it is true, isn't it?
That all said, Charan, no Shields women, they'll take you on. Or see Aaron Embleton, see if their club will have your eye. Keep on it, lass.
There you go. But there is, talking about that, obviously Tyler Dodds quitting football, Cara Redhead Malign becoming a coach. There is unfortunately it's not going to be a viable career path for everyone. So you're seeing these players young stopping football or having to get that coaching qualification maybe alongside playing football so that they're actually able to earn a bit of money and pay themselves. So it's upsetting to see, but let's look on a more positive side that 22,000 tickets have been sold for the Newcastle versus Sunderland match at St James's Park.
How are the lasses?
How are the lasses? Do we think they can beat their own record of 28,000 tickets? What do we think? I think we're pushing.
Go on, Dale. I'll let you answer.
Definitely easy.
Give us a figure then.
I would bold. I'll say about the 30,000 to 35. You just no need to go and buy a ticket. I think it's like £5. Is it £5 a ticket? I think it's either 5 or 3 or something like that.
I thought it was £8, and my ticket was free because I'm a season ticket holder. Why are you not season ticket holders? Hurry up, get a season ticket.
Talking about kids, yeah. The kids. I think the kids are only a couple of quid or something.
It's
There's no excuse to not get a ticket, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's a derby. Great. It's a derby. We're already 1-0 up. We went to see Malay and won. The Mackham Slayer, Beth Lumsden. I think she's going to score a hat-trick in St James's Park.
Well, we did say on the match the other day against Bristol, she was sort of warming up, 2 goals. So is the Mackham Slayer getting ready again? But no matter how many people we have coming, it will be a championship record for the amount of attendance that we're going to have, which is just absolutely epic. So claps to Newcastle United Women and the fans for showing up. Even the away matches, I feel like we have such a strong fan base, which is just incredible. And I think what's nice about Newcastle Women is it's a lot of supporters from the men's game as well. It's not just you only support the women, you only support the men's. I love seeing, I think, at the matches, there's a lot of men who come to support the women, which I think it's great that there's, it's not, well, that's just the women playing. It's like, it's Newcastle United. It doesn't matter if it's the women's team or the men's team or the development team, whoever it is, we're going to show up and support them, which is brilliant.
Badge.
Absolutely.
You support the club.
Exactly.
Especially the double headers. You can tell that's the worst when the double headers is because the torn. It's like, who they would want to go to both, but unfortunately, it's like, which one? Because
I think that's going to come on another podcast coming soon.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Exactly.
And a little bit more positive news. We've had Emma Kelly, Liv Watt, Alicia Boddy and Poppy Pritchett have all been pictured in training. So do we think they're going to make it back for the Durham game? We know Potsy's around 2 weeks away, but hopefully the others, they're going to be able to make those comebacks for the derby against Durham, the derby against Sunderland, or, in the near future, which is really exciting because I think we signed Poppy Pritchett and then she was injured. I don't think Alicia Boddy's been on the pitch for a while. Same with Emma Kelly and Liv Watt. So they'll be chomping at the bits to just get their boots back on, get back on the pitch, scoring some goals, stopping some goals, whatever it is, that's their goal. I think it'll be really nice for them to just get back out on the pitch and back in front of the fans and just playing some football.
I think it might be fortunate that Newcastle don't play this weekend because that gives them another week after coming into the Durham game to play, and I think that's they must be close if they're training with the first team now. So if we had a game this weekend, that might be a little bit tight for 1 or 2, but because we've got another week rest, and it's good to see it gives Becky more options because she's got one eye on the title.
Absolutely,
she definitely has.
The last time you said that as well, though, we ended up having a 5-week break and we came back with more injuries. So lay shut up.
Okay, touch wood, everyone.
Lips are sealed. I'll say nothing more.
The good thing is about Potsy. Although she's injured, she said to me a couple of, I think it was like a month ago, she's dying to get on the pitch. She hates being injured. She wants to be on the pitch, wants to be the leader. That's a proper Geordie Charlotte Potts is, because she's she'll wear the badge, she goes out there, gives all but 10%. That's what you need though, and it's good to see Liv Watt and all.
It'd be interesting, Julia, if everyone is back, who starts and who's on the bench.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
A bit of a headache, especially for all the new signings as well.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of a headache for Becky Langley, won't it, figuring out what's best. But, I mean, the positive news is that we're getting some players back, because the bench was a small bench against Bristol the other day. I think Dale and I were sat up in the press and we were like, are they going to bring on a centre-back? But who is the other centre-back on the bench? It was...
Anna Hawkins.
Yeah, well, she was pictured in a Newcastle shirt, wasn't she? And obviously, have you all seen as well? This isn't actually in my notes, but I wanted to bring it up. I think it's her wife. I think they're married. Has just had a baby. Two babies. It's twins, isn't it? Yeah. which is so exciting. So
Congratulations
to her. That's incredible news. And obviously great for the club. You know, they've got 2 new little Geordie Bens, but yeah, there was a small bench. I think only 1 keeper on the bench as well. So hopefully these girls coming back from injury, it's just going to be a bit of a less stressful time for Becky Lang. You know, okay, if you need to come off because you're injured or you're knackered, I've got spare fresh legs on the bench, not going, oh well, yeah, Hannah, you're coming on as a striker.
One I will say, and this is one for you in the comments, how do you replace that fantabulous triple threat that we had at the weekend? If all of our players are fit come the Sunderland game, do you really replace Freya Gregory, Emily Murphy and Beth Lumsden up front in that?
They were pretty special, weren't they?
Unreal they were. Let us know, what do you think? How do you replace them 3? Do you replace them? If so, who with? Let me know in the comments, please.
So if like what Joe said, if we get Alicia Body back, Potsy back, that's the midfield already bolstered back up, because Potsy will just go straight in Alicia Body will go in midfield with Amber. Yet again, just like phenomenal, like the pair of them, because they know each other so well. They know when one goes attacking, the other one sits, and they just rotate. It's the same with Potsy. Potsy with all the other ones. If the other defender goes up, Potsy stays. Potsy goes up.
Because it'd be nice to have actually centre-backs play centre-back.
Exactly. Because what I told Lee, like Potsy plays like Cher, which is great to see.
Well, hopefully Fabian Cher needs to get his act together, but the old Fabian Cher maybe.
For sure. So anyway, let's pass you guys back over to Lee for the 3rd and final clue. See if anyone's going to be able to guess who it is.
Joe with his Bible again there. So I'll recap. Clue 1. Some will say I had big shoes to fill in when I got the role. Clue 2. I attended Sunderland Uni like many others in my profession. Clue 3. You may not know my face, but you will sometimes hear my voice. I'm being a bit cryptic there. I don't know. I'll reread them.
I think I've got a guess, but I don't know what they're called, but it could be so far off.
I'll quickly run through before I hand it back over.
Just kind of thrown his stuff.
Some will say I've had big shoes to fill in when I got the role. I've attended Sunderland Uni like many others in my profession. And the last clue is, you may not know my face, but you will sometimes hear my voice.
I don't think my person's the right, because it's sometimes. Anyway, whilst you're all thinking of your guesses for Who Am I, if you think you've got it already, pop it in the comments and then you can see if you were right. But I don't think we can have a women's football podcast without talking about that incredible match at the weekend, the 3-2 home win to Bristol City Women. I think going into the match, it was... it could have been a toss-up who was going to win. Obviously, last time we travelled to Bristol, they beat us. So I think the girls were hungry for a bit of revenge. However, Bristol, they've had that WL experience last season. They are on good form. They're scoring a lot of goals. They've got some great players. So I think, for us to take the lead with that first goal, buzzing. For us to then concede, it was back to a level playing field. Then for us to score again, it was sort of like it's going to be them, it's going to be us, it's going to be them, it's going to be us, it's going to be a draw. And obviously we had the board issue when Bristol scored and it said it was 2-1. Everyone was like, hang on a second, they've only scored 1. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting game. It was my first time in press, which was really fun. So thanks, Dale, for, showing me around where to go.
How was it? I want to ask you about that. How was the press for you?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, the view was great, really nice.
Did you get a better view going at the back?
Yeah, and I love being central. That's why whenever I go to the football, I'll try and get as close to the centre line as possible. So I was literally on it. So I was like, this is brilliant. I'll sit here. Obviously, you've got a little place to charge your phone if you need to. So it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And I feel like you can sort of immerse yourself in the fans, but also just watch the fans and just sort of be like, this is incredible. Hearing Joe doing all his chants, it's just, it's epic, to be fair. And obviously then getting to go and interview the players after. It's funny, when we were speaking to the other guys, they were like, have you interviewed anyone before? And I was like, I don't think so. And then I remembered I literally have my own podcast where I bring guests on, but I don't know, it was just a complete...
nerve-wracking for you as well, Oh my God, Becky.
Yeah, I was shitting myself. I don't know if I can swear, sorry. I was shitting myself a little bit. I was just like, I think with me, I love football. I love women's football. I'm so passionate about it, but I have never played football. So I don't necessarily understand like that football terminology, like the really technical side of things. So I was like, oh God, like I don't know how I'm going to ask questions like really relating to football because I don't quite understand the terminology. But I think in my few years supporting the women's game, well, the game in general, like I've learned so much. But, it was just really nice getting to chat with them. Obviously, there was yourself, there was 2 guys from Nova Radio, and then there was a lovely girl called Safia from the Powerhouse Project.
Uncle Jeffy called.
Uncle Jeff.
Hello.
That's a great impression.
Binoculars. Is that number 6, Joe? Is that number 6 coming off?
Oh no, I'm going to
That's a
ask a
great
really,
impression.
really long question and keep you waiting for ages. Adam Mackman. Love you, Adam.
Yeah, I really enjoyed getting to chat with them. And it kind of like, there was no time to get nervous. Like, I think Beth came in, she sat down, and I think it was Jeff asked a question. So I was like, oh, press play, like, we're going. Like, I didn't really have time to, like, panic and get nervous. And I think, after the game, it was, I knew what to ask, with Beth. It was sort of like, were those, the 2 goals, they were so similar. It was like, we had to know, like, are they like, is that a specific goal they practice and train? And like Freya, Emily, Beth, like, was that practice or did it just happen to be a bit of magic on the day? But yeah, it was great and I really, really enjoyed it. So shout out to you guys for giving me that experience because,
I'm gutted
I think,
missed it.
I know.
I watched it all back. On Tuesday, Monday night. I watched the whole game back, and the way Beth took our goals was carbon
It
copy.
was epic.
They were
You know what
sensational.
you know what the funniest thing is? Like, we scored 3 goals. Who witnessed all 3 goals for the first time ever? I saw Joe saw
I missed a goal.
all 3
I
goals.
didn't miss a goal. I actually, when you were saying that there, I was like, whoa, I didn't miss a goal. Usually I miss a goal every single game, whether it's Newcastle Women, Newcastle Men, Shields, I always miss a goal. And I didn't, you're right.
Well, there you go.
Buzzing about that. What goals
the,
there were.
the best one out of everything, we're getting beat by Man U. Joe went away, we scored 2 goals in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, literally.
Straight away, me and Lee were like, Joe, just stay away. We're going to get a result here. Joe, just stay away.
I always think that when people like start leaving the football at like the 87th minute and you
don't get me started.
just so they can like get to the tube or the metro earlier, I'm like, just stay for 3 more minutes, like just enjoy it. But I just want to touch back on like being in the interview room. I think it's so important, especially in the women's game, to have, those female presenters and just for young girls, I think growing up, it's incredible to see, okay, I can be a footballer when I grow up, but also to see, okay, I can be a football presenter when I grow up, especially me little bestie, Emmy. So, like, just for her to be able to, look, this is what my dad does. I'm going to watch women's football, but if I don't want to be on the pitch, can I be interviewing the players after the games? Can I be, in that more presenter side role, which I think is so important just for young girls to have those role models. So again, really appreciate it for you guys for, giving me the opportunity to show young girls that, whatever they want to do, whether it's in football or not, that they are able to achieve these, even if it is male dominated industries as such, which I guess football and football presenting is, there's not many women's football pundits out there. I think Alex Scott is, she's pretty much a regular now at women's football matches and men's, but again, yeah, just for those young girls and even young boys, just to see, whatever I want to do when I grow up, there's an opportunity for me to do that. So I think it's really, really important.
I will definitely back Juliette on that because I was going to say that as a perfect moment to show a little clip of Emmy literally just staring in wonder at Juliette
so
like,
cute.
wow, look at her. It's a girl doing what the other boys do. Stinky boys. But no more of
Girl
that
power.
as well. I don't think there's enough focus on how many young lasses are actually there. So you bang on, right, Juliette, bringing you into a platform like Newcastle Fans TV. It shows these other young lasses. Sorry, I'm not going to remember all names. One of them's called Ella. There's another couple of lasses. You go around with your little microphones and you interview whoever you can. And you've got someone else to look towards now in Juliette. And I think for me personally, being a girl dad, especially at the age it is, it's phenomenal to bring you on. When Lee told us you were coming in,
And just seeing that it's like a viable career path. Like you can do it for fun or you can make a whole career out of it. And, getting paid to talk for a living, like, I'm not going to complain, do you know what I mean? But yeah, just for them to see it. And especially me little bestie, Emmy. I love her. She's so cute.
Dave and Lorraine hate you now because Emmy used to go to Dave and Lorraine like, yes.
I think Dale was fuming because Dale was like, who's your favourite?
Right, you know.
Yeah, Dale was like, am I still your favourite? And Emmy was like, and Joe was like, who is it? And she was like, Juliette. And I was like, that's my girl.
I wonder what's going to happen when Amanda's in a match and Juliette's in a match. Emmy's not going to know who to go to. She's going to be like, whoa.
Dad, you can record it today. I'm going to sit with Juliette for the game.
I'm
going to babysitter.
It'd be kind of funny though, because again, it just shows how good the women's and obviously the men's, all the communities for both have been absolutely amazing. You can go in the concourse and you can just speak to a random person and they're just they talk about the game and all that. It's just incredible to be a part of all that, and I just want this to continue. It's just good.
Do you know what the club should do?
Hire me.
Get a camera and just go up and down the concourse for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
No, they should not. That's our job to do, right? I was the original one.
But it's you can easily just grab a few fans going past it. It's because of the mentioned it's a community.
Just trying to get out of the job, you know what I mean?
But I want to talk about, obviously I wasn't there and I missed it all, and obviously because they clashed. But it did look. Do you know what's weird looking back? Because Beth, the technique of her goals was class. But then City scored straight away, and it was a hell of a strike as well. I think she was making her debut. But then later on in the game, when we conceded to 2-2, it was like, wait a minute, we're not down in the dumps here. We went and scored again. It's not the first time that Diana's
that
come up.
mentality was...
Yeah, it's go. Mm-hmm. It's that mentality of, right, we've got to go, let's go again. We've got to go again.
Well, you touched on that in the interview with Becky, didn't you? Is that what you're drilling into the girls? No matter if you're 3-0 down, 3-0 up, do you give that 110% till the end of the match? And that's what Becky was saying, that's what the girls are taught to do. So just to push through was really great.
It was like last season, because we're going for the title, we were 4-0 up. You've got Katie Barker picking the ball up, sprinting back the halfway line, kicking off again. It was like, we're 4-0 up. You didn't need to do that. I mean, that's the mentality, isn't it?
That was the lower leagues, though. The lower leagues, they were scoring for fun. They got
goal difference is important, isn't it? To get that promotion. So
I was talking to you on Sunday. We won a flight 11-3. We didn't score the 3 best goals. They did, and me and Lee were there. We won 11-3, but they got the 3 best goals. But going up the leagues, we knew it was going to be a lot more tougher. Games are going to be 1-0s. Can we squeak it all that there? And you can see the lasses. The lasses, the new fine fat, what tasks they've got, and they're just would you say now, at the start, it was just basically survive, just do not come bottom. But now they've got their sights going. You know what? We're going to hit the ground running. We're going to get that promotion up to the Super League because we can play.
Yeah. Technically, they can't get relegated now.
Yeah, I know. So that's a good thing.
But that was a massive win. I was speaking to Dave about this and said, I think if Newcastle want to get promoted, they had to win this game. I said that before. They had to win. If they've got, I know Becky's got an eye on it. It is going to be challenging still. I know we've got games in hand, but you're asking to win those games in hand to catch up with Birmingham. So I said top 5, and I think that's still achievable for me.
That's another question I asked Becky, since obviously the results went for the lasses. With the games in hand, we can be second or third with 3 points behind them. So it's all, because this league, I thought, it's not going to be everyone's going to be taking points off. Surely, there's going to be a couple of runaways. But this season's just completely turned. Everyone is taking points. So it's still, for me, it's all up for grabs. I told you at the start of the season, it's going to go down to goal difference. I think, really goal difference.
Even say we don't get promoted this season, how incredible to have, had back-to-back promotions, come into the Championship. I'm assuming there's people out there who probably thought, they're going to be near the bottom, struggling to stay alive in the Championship. How incredible, say, Birmingham get promoted and we've come, let's say, top 3 or even top 5, to then come next season knowing, okay, we absolutely smashed this last season. We were not the target necessarily, but we were the underdog. Yep. And then to be able to come into next season with the Championship, hopefully then maybe knowing that if they then do win and get into the, top of the table and get into WSL, they know that they've got that security in the WSL, that they're not going to then get relegated straight away. So I think, that mentality shift, it's just going to be, they're just going to go on to such incredible things. Even if they don't get promoted this season, I just think there's so many great things coming for Newcastle United Women.
I agree. I think there'll be another busy summer transfer window.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Newcastle can pinch a couple of WSLs.
I think we spoke about it, didn't we, about them getting a solid international player. Obviously Birmingham, they've just signed Emily Van Egmond, and Matilda's played for San Diego. We've a top player. So I think that's definitely on Newcastle's radar. Obviously, you know, we've got Freya Gregory, Scotland, we've got Lois Joel, Wales, we've got like a few England under 23s, but I think
Georgia now.
yeah, George, exactly.
Yeah,
but hopefully getting like a top. Who would?
coming.
Shall we ask? Who would everyone sort of like? Does anyone have their eyes? I know you mentioned Georgia Stanway, obviously being
Yeah, I'd love to have her back.
a Newcastle fan. But obviously, she's done her knee at the minute. But does anyone have anyone that they like would love to play for Newcastle?
Bon Matty. I would love
That
Bon
would
Matty
be
to get out of here.
incredible.
But now that's an absolute dream. One for me that's been there for a while. I've always wanted to see Lucy Bronze come up and finish.
I
up
was just
here.
going to say Lucy Bronze.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows me. I'm a Lucy Bronze stan,
See,
but
I honestly,
she's you know
she's
from up here, played for
fantastic.
Alnwick Ladies, didn't she? So if we get Lucy Bronze up here and away from Chelsea, that would be pretty
I
special.
would love that. They're probably my two who I would love to see here. Bon Matty, and there's also a young player I know as well. She's quite popular, especially in the north, who I would love to see play for Newcastle again, Anna Soulsby. Sign her back.
I would go Ella Toon for me. I've played for England and I've privileged seeing her play twice against Newcastle. And that's another thing, which is the lasses have got like a stepping stone. We played Man U in the FA Cup. We got absolutely battered off them. We went toe to toe for half an hour. I was shocked. Watched it, I was like, whoa, we're going back to the net. Then Ella Toon just came on, just absolutely just 2 goals from like 25 yards.
I'm going to throw a name
one.
out there as well. I'll let you go first, and I'll throw a name out there.
Newcastle, who I wanted.
Poppy.
Yeah, Poppy Pritchard. I wanted Poppy to come to Newcastle. When I seen her play at Sestra a couple of years ago, absolutely ripping Daisy Burt alive. Nobody does that in Tier 4. Curls in, bends one, top corner. I'm like, who's this kid? Just pace. And I went, she needs to come to Newcastle. And obviously, her family are all from Morpeth, Alnwick Way. And when she signed, I was absolutely buzzing.
I'm going to stick with a Man City player, and I'm going to go for a goalkeeper. I think Chiara Keating would be incredible. I know obviously Claudia Moan has come in and done wonders for the club, but I think, you know, like getting a top keeper, and Chiara Keating is a shot stopper. So I think getting a great international keeper.
If you're going to upgrade from Claudia Moan, that's probably the upgrade. The only upgrade.
Because she's, you know, she was playing a lot for City, but now they've got, I'm probably going to butcher this name, Hashimata, I think it is.
Yes,
now that they've got her in goal, she's playing more than Keating. Obviously, Keating, she's still young. She's either 19 or 21 or 23. I'm not sure which one of those. She's young because she plays with the England under 23s as well. I think getting a keeper like that already has so much experience but still so much to learn, I think that could be incredible, especially if we are, you know, pushing for promotion into the WSL. We are going to need an experienced keeper who's going to be able to keep the likes of Ella Toon away from our goal. So I think someone like that would be great for the team.
One more I would have would be is it Kanaja Shaw?
Bunny Shaw. She's
Never getting her.
incredible.
That's a dream. That's just a wild dream, isn't it?
She always scores, so that like out striker
Physicality as well.
Well, Bunny Shaw, if you happen to be watching this, I don't think you will be, but come sign for Newcastle.
Got some lovely
Go back
bridges.
on. Oh, thanks for the mention.
There we go. Well, anyway, shall we find out who this mystery person is? I'm dying to know who you guys think it is and who it actually is. So do you want to run us through the clues one more time?
Clues again, then we'll go around and see who you think it is. So clue 1, some will say I had big shoes to fill in when I got the role. Clue 2, I attended Sunderland Uni like many others do in my profession. And clue 3, you may not know my face, but sometimes you will hear my voice. Go on, Dale, start off then. Who do you think that is?
The first 2 clues I had maybe a Becky Langley, then I had Charlotte Potts, then I had Claudia Moan, Sue Cummins I had, and for the fun of it I was going to go Andy Sixsmith.
Andy Sixsmith, okay.
I thought they were you never see, you
Who are
rarely
you going
see.
without them then? Andy?
I'm going to go with Sue Cummins.
Sue?
Sue!
Go on then, Juliette.
I fear this could be so wrong. I thought I had it until you said sometimes hear my voice. But it could be, I don't even know what they're called, but the guy who does the announcements, like, goal for Newcastle! Just because, oh, is that, okay.
Right, okay.
But because there's sometimes, because we always hear his voice, so I don't think it's right, but that's my guess.
I noticed in the first question that you had a massive focus on the word role. You don't call a player a role. Still, at first I had Claire Ditchburn and I had Claudia Moan. Then I went to Claire Ditchburn and I went to Dr. Floyd. because Sunderland University is very popular for medical students, very popular. And then I've went down to the bottom with Aaron Hindhoff, Claire Ditchburn and Andy Sixsmith. Now, I'm pretty certain you've already done both Aaron Hindhoff and Claire Ditchburn. So, at the same time, I don't want to say the same as everyone else, though. So,
Copycat.
You
exactly
copied
right.
off me.
I'm going to put my faith in Aaron Hindhoff, right? Aaron, I'm sticking with you and you are me, who I am. who am I?
These are all wrong.
Oh.
All these are wrong. Let's go for the clues then. Some will say I had big shoes to fill in when I got the role. So that role was a legend. An absolute legend.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you can come in, you know.
who it is now,
Come-
exactly.
with it.
I know exactly who it is.
To get that role, you have to go to Sunderland Uni. Newcastle Uni does not do media. There's another one. Last one. You may know my face, but sometimes you will hear my voice.
Couldn't remember my name, but I've got it.
You've been wrong again.
Is it the
was gonna
the guy
have
who
one
does the
more
social
time.
media? Because we'll sometimes hear him interviewing the
So
players.
the reason why that last clue said sometimes, because he's not there all the time. He's a commentator. Matthew Raisbeck.
Oh, Raisbeck.
Razor. Big shoes. Who did you replace? Nicholas.
Yes.
There's the big shoes. Had to go to Sunderland Uni to get his diploma slash.
I wouldn't have got that in a
whatever they
million
call it
years.
now, degree. And you may not know my face. I don't always say him, but sometimes you will hear my voice because he does the live streams.
Wow.
Well, if anyone in the comments got that, you get 10 points to your Hogwarts house. Congratulations.
Cozy, did you get it this time? I hope you didn't, because that's your streak over, son.
Well, everyone, I think we're good to wrap up there. Thank you all so much for watching. Before you click off, make sure to give us a 5-star review, a like, a comment, a subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. You can find us everywhere. We've been Juliette, Dale, Lee and Joe from Newcastle Fans TV. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all for the next episode. Bye!